Steady love. Ooh, steady love.
Hello,
Hi.
how are you doing? Welcome to the second episode of Love Bites, which is a series that we are featuring during the month of February, known as Love Month. You know, that's the season when we celebrate Valentine's. In case some of you may not know who we are
Gabriel.
and Denise J. Charles. We are a couple who've been married for 40 years, and we've been doing this relationship coaching and sharing relationship advice for quite some time now. I think almost 17 years, right? 17 years or so. So we've been doing this for quite some time. And if you wonder why we do it because we think we've been given a mandate by God to share our lives with you, and definitely because we want to help you have a better, stronger love, even as we seek to pursue this for ourselves, because that journey is never ended. This afternoon, we'll be sharing a tip with you, or some tips with you under this particular topic today: igniting the fire. In case you hear some background noise, we are near the airport and we do have some chimes keeping some wonderful noise in our living rooms.
Yes.
In case you hear some noise in the background, that's what it is. Now, what is the first part of this whole aspect of igniting the flame? And why do we need to ignite the flame? Let me just introduce it quickly. How many of you out there love romance? I am sure that if I had to ask by a show of hands, everyone's hands would be up. We all love romance. We all love
Yes,
a
we
great
do,
love
we do,
story.
we do.
We love to see that couple get together and get married and commit and pledge their lives to each other, you know, and we believe in love and longevity and commitment and so on. And I'm sure you do too as well. But we know that life happens.
Yes.
Life happens. Relationships don't always go as planned. And as we drill down into the humdrum of life, you know, raising the kids, paying the mortgage, paying for the various loans, car loans, studying, improving our careers, taking care of aging parents. So many different things can happen to us. Sometimes we may become ill, and it is almost a chore to try to keep your relationship interesting as time goes on. It's pretty easy in the first years, but then as time goes on, it becomes more of a challenge. So what do we have to do? We always talk about being very intentional, and we don't believe that we should approach our relationships with a casual approach. We must be intentional in terms of seeking to improve not only the longevity of our marriages, but certainly the quality of those relationships.
Definitely.
So the first thing we're going to talk about is reinventing yourself, you know, bringing some spice to your relationship, because you're not predictable. You're not the same person all the time. And if I had to ask my husband one quality about myself that he finds perhaps unpredictable, I'm sure he'd be quite willing to share that with you. What is it? What is it, Gabriel?
She's always changing her look.
Yep.
Always changing her hairstyle.
Yeah.
Always doing things to surprise me.
That's right. And there's
And I
nothing
love that about her.
exactly. There's nothing wrong with looking after yourself. And this does not only apply to women, it also applies to men. Men can find ways to bring a fresh look to how they carry themselves,
Yeah.
changing their wardrobe from time to time, changing those underwear, you know, changing the underwears. We always hear about men wearing stuff that isn't quite the way it should look, you know. So taking care of yourself.
Throw them away.
Basic hygiene, that's a given, but then stepping it up, you know, getting your hair done, getting your beard trimmed if you're a guy, you know, keeping your locks well groomed if you wear long hair or if you wear plaited hair. If you are a lady, changing that style up. As I said, you know, the very first time I wore a wig while I had locks, my husband didn't have a clue. Well, it was a sew-in. I think I had a sew-in or something. I had a wig. No, it was a wig. And he had it. I didn't tell him. You know, I just asked him to come and pick me up. And he didn't recognize me, you know. So doing things like that, you are being intentional, but you're also showing your partner that you're bringing some thought to the relationship. You do want to keep him interested in you. If you're the lady, and if you're the guy, you want to keep her interested in you. You're not taking it for granted that because you're committed to each other that you don't have to take that effort into making yourself look good. So that's one. bringing some pep to how you look.
Yeah.
And it's not just hair, you know, it's the whole look, the clothes,
grooming the beard.
grooming yourself, you know, new fragrances, just new stuff, you know,
always
to keep
smells good.
yourself fresh. Yes. But apart from taking care of the external, you know, you see the external first, it is very important to also take care of who you are on the inside. So when we talk about reinventing yourself, it is not just about plastering things on the outside, but it's also about grooming who you are on the inside. How do you seek to develop yourself? You know, what new course are you studying? You don't always have to pay lots of money and go and study a formal program, although you can do that if you want to. You can go back to college, you can go back to university. There are so many institutions that offer courses for professional development and self-development, so you can do that. But you can also seek one of those free things online. You know, right here in Barbados, our National Transformation Initiative offers so many free courses, and there are other online courses that you can take. There are webinars you can visit and listen in on. You can seek to develop yourself through so many ways, through simply reading a good book, reading some quality information online, watching some videos about yourself, about personal development, videos about relationships, learning a new language, learning a new skill, learning to tile, learning to do something that you bring back. Because when you develop you become happier. You become happier and you bring that energy
Into the relationship.
and that makes you even more interesting, right? So when we talk about reinvention of the self, we're talking about the external and the internal. Another thing that you can do, and this is something that we always advocate, is seek to keep your date nights going. You know, don't let them fall off. If you haven't started, start your date night. You know, one of the things that I find very endearing is when we meet people in public and they recognize who we are. They say, okay, you're that couple. You're that couple who's always on social media. You know, we're so inspired by you. We've actually started a date night because of you. We've been told that, you know, and that makes us feel so good to know that what we share with you on social media, how we share our lives with you, that is inspiring you to do the same. And you don't have to do exactly what we do. You can find your own niche, your own way of doing date nights. You might decide to do a date day. It's not always convenient to go out at night, especially if you have young children. So you may want to do something during the day, go catch a movie, walk on the beach, go to the gym together, do a picnic together. The possibilities are endless. So just find some time, couple time to be together where you get to share, you get to just focus in on each other. Because, you know, as we said at the beginning, life happens. You want to say something?
No, I was just about to say, it's amazing when we do things, the way how people respond when they see us.
That's right.
And I remember we were at a shoe store, and this gentleman came in and said, I know you guys. Yes, you are that couple. I follow you all on social media.
That's right.
Look, as I'm telling you this, look at my arms. Look, they're goosebumps
Yes,
all over.
you know,
and we were amazed to know that, hey, we are still inspiring people. So there's nothing wrong with you, you know, inspiring people. Because when you do that, you inspire yourself.
That's
you
right.
continue to push yourself into the place that you know that you should be.
That's
Where
right.
relationship is concerned.
That's right. And as people see you go out, as people see you spend time with your spouse, as people see you go out of your way to make your spouse feel loved, that can also be a model, as Gabriel is saying, and an example. Because when we started doing what we were doing, you know, we thought as we spoke to you, we would be inspiring you, but we didn't think that it would go as far as it have gone.
Yes, that's right.
In terms of people actually deciding, well, I'm going to do a date night just like these guys. So kudos to you for doing that. So keep that date night going, keep it diverse. And this really interesting one that we have, switch up your sex life as regularly as possible. Now, we can't talk about keeping the fires burning and ignited and so on if we don't discuss sex. Sorry guys, we got to do this. Sorry, I'm not apologizing for it, but you understand what I'm saying. It is very important that you bring something fresh to the table when it comes to sex, because sex can become humdrum if you've been doing it with the same person over and over again. And I'm not suggesting that you should be doing it with diverse people. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, if you are with one person and you've committed your life to that person as much as you love them, you have to put some effort in, just as you would with other aspects of the relationship, in terms of keeping the romance going, in terms of making yourself more attractive, making yourself an interesting person to be around. There's nothing wrong with being intentional about things like that, and there's nothing wrong with being intentional about sex as well. So how are you going to do this? There are several ways you can do that, and I think I've written a whole book about it already, but I am just going to single out one way that is perhaps a bit unorthodox. I'm going to tell you, withdraw from having sex for a little while. You know, you're doing it all the time. It's a part of your relationship. You know, it's no big deal. You're accustomed to each other. You know each other's bodies well. Fine. But, and the Bible says don't do this without consent. Okay,
That's
so
right.
don't one of you decide to do this without the other one agreeing. But this is a little experiment that you could actually get yourselves engaged with as a married couple. Withdraw from each other just for a little while, for as long as you can do it, maybe a week or two. And during that time, find other interesting ways to engage with each other. Play with each other,
Yes.
touch each other,
Yes.
tickle each other, flirt with each other, send each other suggestive texts and little messages on the phone and so on.
Yeah.
You know, and as you do that, it's like creating a slow burn, you know, it's like
Build up.
a build up, you know, so that when you do decide to break it down, there's there's a wonderful explosion, you know.
Volcanic
Eruption.
explode,
Yeah, it's like a new phase you're taking your relationship into. It's just like being away, you know, they say absence makes the heart grow fonder. So it's like if you decided to go away for a while and you weren't having that type of physical access to each other, and then you came back together, it would be
it's like
it would be fresh
big
because
explosion.
you haven't been together for a while. So similarly, you know, you can do it well at home as well. So seek to bring some fresh fire to your sex life by trying new things. That's just one of the things you could do. Obviously, there are other things, but we're going to deal with that separately in another Love Bite.
In another bite.
Love Bite episode. All right. We want you to also travel together. Now, traveling together is a wonderful way to see each other in another light because you're in a new space.
Yeah.
You're in a different space. There's nothing like being alone together, not just for a date night, but for a little extended period of time. So whether it's a weekend getaway, like a staycation, you know, you can do that here as well. Everybody might not be able to hop on a plane and leave the country, but you might be able to spend a night or spend a couple of nights in a guest house somewhere, in a romantic space, a lovely hotel, balcony room, somewhere in Barbados. There's so many of them around, you know, the West Coast, the South Coast, Central Country, if you want to do the St. Joseph areas and so on. You can find some space to be alone with your partner. And even though you haven't traveled overseas, it still creates that wonderful sense of like being tourists or being away from your children or from your regular surroundings. And it can make you feel wonderfully new again. And if you can hop on a plane or on a ship to do a wonderful cruise,
Oh, we love
of
the cruise.
course, do that. And I can guarantee you that being in that new space with your partner, you sort of act different, you know, and you see each other through fresh lens. It's like a renewal, you know. Even when you come back from traveling together, from spending time together, you know, it's almost a new mood in the relationship until it wears off again, you know. But we just want to
Fan the flames.
that's
all the
right.
time.
Keep those flames being fanned in however way you choose to do it. These are just some ideas we've shared with you today, but there's several other things that you can do. But these are a few quick tips. I actually took this from an article that I wrote that is on my blog, Love Story 246. If you want to find it, it is online, Love Story 246 at wordpress.com. But I have so many articles there with great tips for relationships. And this one that we focused on today is about fanning the flame. So these are the love bites that we have decided to share with you today during this month of Valentine's. If a quick recap, we talked about reinventing yourself, making yourself more interesting by paying attention to how you look and also paying attention to how you develop yourself. Learning a new skill, etc., etc. We talked about keeping your date nights diverse. We talked about switching up your sex life, and we talked about traveling together. traveling together and creating that whole new sense of love because you're in a new space together. So we're very glad to have shared these tips with you on our second episode of Love Bites. We look forward to seeing you for our third episode coming up next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a great weekend.
Steady love.